Hey guys, it's Poochie. There's a really interesting article that I found today. The Washington Post has it, and the headline is Amazon sellers say online retail giant is trying to help itself, not consumers. Regulators are probing the online retail giant for potential violations of antitrust law and abusing marketplace power. And I thought we could discuss this a little bit on my channel. This is interesting because it says some sellers pay as much as $5,000 a month for a program Amazon offers sellers as a way to get quick help from a real person. Okay. This person, Jeff Peterson's, his seller account was hacked. He tried to reach Amazon customer service for help restoring access to his sports memorabilia store. As nearly 4,000 fraudulent orders rang up, the seller called Amazon seller support line, phoned its main customer service number, reached out via a separate account on its Canadian site, and even sent an email to CEO Jeff Bezos. Nothing worked. So he says, I can't get any answers from Amazon at all to fix this, as negative reviews of his service accumulated, decimating his business. Okay, so that basically ruined his business. Amazon has become a powerful marketplace alongside its role as an online retailer, with more than 2.5 million third-party sellers and a lot more who have actually had their accounts suspended by Amazon. Who have become global businesses on its platform. Early on, Amazon compelled sellers to use its warehouses to guarantee speedy prime shipping. Okay, that's FBA, right? In addition to other programs, it largely benefited consumers. But now, sellers and former employees familiar with Amazon's internal strategy say the company is increasingly focused on boosting its profits on the back of its sellers, often without any clear upside for customers. This service includes charging sellers thousands of dollars to speak to account managers. And here's the thing, if you pay for them and they can help you, okay, but what if you get one and they can't really help you, or it takes them forever to help you, and then you're paying all that money for basically nothing? Because that's kind of what happens on eBay a lot of times. You call even the anchor store reps, they just they can't help you too much of the time, so it's not really helpful. As well as making it necessary to purchase ads to guarantee the top spot on a search page. Okay, the pay-per-click ads, all the ads you have to do on Amazon just to sell products a lot of times. Plus, Amazon is aggressively pushing its own brands like Amazon Basics, and they have many other brands. Something that may be cheaper for consumers in the short run, but demonstrates its overall power over pricing and merchandise on the site. That gives it an advantage over rival products and sellers who rely on Amazon for their livelihood and have few alternatives if they want to thrive selling online. Amazon says its success is dependent upon third-party sellers and insists it always prioritizes shoppers. A lot of sellers would tend to disagree with that. It seems like Amazon has been prioritizing Amazon a lot better. As much as a third of every dollar merchants make goes back to Amazon, according to consultants and sellers. That means, okay, as much as 33 plus cents from every dollar that we spend as sellers, third-party sellers on Amazon keeps. Okay, that helped Amazon generate $42.7 billion in revenue from seller services such as fees and commissions last year, a number that has nearly doubled in 2 years. Okay, that's drawn the attention of regulators and lawmakers both in the U.S. and abroad who are investigating Amazon and other large tech companies for potential violations of antitrust law and abusing dominant marketplace power. Traditionally, U.S. regulators have focused on consumer harm, but officials recently emphasized the need to look at the way several tech giants are using their market clout to lower quality, reduce innovation, and diminish consumer privacy, as officials consider regulating giants of the digital economy. With regard to Amazon, the FTC appears to be probing how the online giant decides who wins each sale. So who gets the buy box? Okay, and at what price? What do you have to do to get the buy box? Or how much do you have to spend in ads in order to be the seller that wins the buyer, okay, that wins the sale, as well as how Amazon can harm competition by suspending seller accounts or changing its rules with little notice and without appropriate ways to appeal those decisions. Listen carefully if you sold on Amazon and have been suspended. How Amazon can harm their competition by suspending seller accounts or changing its rules with little notice and without appropriate ways to appeal those decisions. Suspensions and appeals are two major things that put people out of business on Amazon as third-party sellers. The FTC, which has taken on oversight of Amazon, has been reaching out to sellers on those topics in recent weeks, according to sellers who declined to be named due to concern about retribution. Smart. From Amazon, FTC spokeswoman Kathy McFarland declined to comment. In July, the European Union launched an investigation into Amazon's conflicting roles as both a platform and a retailer. Okay, here's what you have. You have eBay, their platform. eBay doesn't sell, okay? Bonanza's a platform. Bonanza doesn't sell. Shopify, in a way, is a platform. It allows other people to have their individual stores. Shopify is not a platform, okay? The German Competition Agency reached a deal with Amazon, in part requiring the company to offer third-party sellers 30 days notice before suspending accounts. Amazon said at that time it would cooperate fully with the EU and continue working hard to support businesses of all sizes and help them grow. Here's the thing, when Amazon suspends your account, they also take your money. Okay? They have your money, okay? And they're getting interest from your money. They're, whatever from your money, right? They're profiting from keeping your money and not paying you, okay? And they will take up to 90 days to 6 months, I believe, to pay out on accounts that they have suspended. And sometimes they even say, if we don't think you're selling stuff that's legit, basically, these are my words, we aren't going to pay you at all, maybe, okay? That's a big deal. Amazon's approach is similar to the way Apple built its iPhone App Store, in which developers both play by its rules and compete against the tech giant. Okay? So they play by Apple's rules and they also compete against Apple. And it also resembles the way Microsoft decades ago used technology to restrict the types of software that could run on its Windows operating system, even as it developed its own competing applications. Amazon notes that third-party sellers sold $160 billion in merchandise on the site worldwide in 2008, or 58% of all physical merchandise sold. Third-party sellers are kicking our first-party butt badly, Bezos wrote in his annual letter to shareholders in April, winning against the company's own retail operations. Okay, now here's the thing, though. The more accounts Amazon suspends, the more third-party selling accounts Amazon suspends, the more of that 58% that was going to third-party sellers now will go to Amazon, most likely. Sellers are a crucial piece of Amazon's business, and the company invests billions of dollars in digital tools and physical infrastructure to help them thrive. Amazon only succeeds when sellers succeed, and any claims to the contrary are simply wrong. I disagree with that. Sellers have full control of their business and make decisions that are best from them, including the products they choose to sell, pricing, and how they choose to fulfill orders. I'm not sure if that's correct either. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let's open a dialogue and a discussion about this, both here on YouTube and in my Facebook group, Poochie's Pack. Join the pack, and there's a link below that you can see, and we'll talk about this because this is really interesting, not only as far as Amazon, but as far as like what eBay wants to do. eBay wants to get, kind of FBA warehouses going, and is now doing a lot of the promoted listings. There's a big controversy about promoted listings lately. I don't think that as long as sellers have to play by Amazon's rules, that they have full control of their business. Do you? I think Amazon has a great deal of control over our businesses because of IP violations and suspensions and the buy box and pay-per-click ads and everything else. Evans also disputes the company has prioritized profits over serving consumers, noting that it invests heavily into driving traffic to its site and improving its infrastructure, which benefits third-party sellers too. Many of the company's fees are for optional features, and it has recently lowered some. Still, many third-party sellers say they worry about Amazon's dual role, a massive open marketplace and a giant competitor in that marketplace. Those sellers complain increasingly publicly that Amazon's ever-increasing power has resulted in a system in which only a few can succeed, and only through paying up. What do you think? Do you agree with that? I tend to agree with that, because unless it's like you have to pay to play on Amazon, and you have to pay to play up to a point on eBay, but especially on Amazon, it seems like. For every dollar that shoppers spend on products from third-party merchants, as much as 30 to 35 cents goes back to Amazon to cover commissions, advertising buys, account management deals, and more. Now listen, here's the thing. This does not help consumers at all, because the third-party sellers that are getting charged, rather than 10 or 15% in commissions, when they're getting charged 30 to 35%, who do you think is going to pay for that? Consumers are going to pay for it. So Amazon's not being honest. This is not helping the consumers, okay? James Thompson, a former senior management in business development at Amazon, and now partner at brand consultancy Buy Box Experts. That's who said that. 2/3 of U.S. shoppers usually start their search for products on Amazon, rather than on Google or another retail website, according to March survey from Feedvisor, a company that helps Amazon third-party sellers with pricing. When people shop on Amazon, they often don't recognize whether they're buying products directly or from a third party. That's true. People who don't know the ins and outs of Amazon, they go on Amazon and they think they're just buying, a product from Amazon, I think. At this point, a lot of people do. Amazon is the largest online retail site, and it should account for about 37.7% of U.S. e-commerce sales this year, according to research firm eMarketer. And many sellers say business from Amazon accounts for 75% or more of their annual sales. So here we have all these third-party sellers, okay, who Amazon has become the big player in the marketplace because of Amazon and their hard work, but also third-party sellers. So now Amazon, the further we go into this, Amazon used to just sell books, right? It used to be a place where you could sell books. Now the further we go into this, it's for all sorts of products, okay? And now Amazon is selling, and now Amazon is doing their own brands, their own private label merchandise, like Amazon Basics and things like that. So they're competing more and more and more with the third-party sellers. And the third-party sellers, in order to be successful because of Amazon's increased competition in their marketplace, are having to pay more and more and more in commissions and fees and ads and things like that. And when Amazon has put themselves in a position where if you're a mom and pop business, okay, or you're a business who sells on e-commerce and you sell on your own website and all sorts of other websites, you sell on eBay, Shopify, wherever, okay? If 75% of your income comes from Amazon and you have to pay 30 to 35%, okay, in fees in order to make that 75%, you're going to raise your cost. That's not going to help the consumer. That's not going to help the consumer. It can be less costly to do business on other platforms. Some other marketplaces don't charge the same broad range of fees on top of their commissions. Walmart's commissions for sales by third-party merchants are similar to Amazon's, according to the company's website. eBay is cheaper still, taking, for example, just 9.2%, 9.15% of the cost of jewelry sales compared to 20% at Amazon. eBay, though, also charges another roughly 3.5% payment processing fee. Okay, company spokesman Ryan Moore said. But eBay, Walmart, and other retailers, all these retailers make up a fraction of U.S. third-party marketplace space. Okay. Robert W. Baird and Company Amazon analyst Colin Sebastian estimated that third-party sellers generated roughly $90 billion in U.S. sales for the online giant last year, a little more than half what it generated globally. Amazon doesn't break out the domestic number. That compares to $33 billion at eBay. Okay. And third-party sales at Walmart are negligible in comparison. Okay, so here's like the pie, and this is Amazon in the pie, and this is eBay in the pie, and this is Walmart in the pie, basically. Amazon, though, views the market differently. Amazon argues that as part of a total retail market, of which it accounts for less than 4% domestically, which is crap. Amazon kind of sees things the way they want to see it. And that's fine. Its e-commerce dominance has allowed Amazon to make major changes that can result in a ripple effect across its marketplace. For example, late last year, Amazon struck a new deal with Apple to sell its products on its website. But the deal also made it much more difficult for third-party merchants to sell used iPads, MacBooks, and more, according to some sellers. Now they need to use genuine Apple replacement parts on those refurbished items, among other requirements. That's true. Amazon basically got into bed with Apple, and that has made it a lot harder for third-party merchants. Now, doesn't make it harder for Apple. It's good for Apple. Doesn't make it harder for Amazon. It squashes the little guys who make 75% and some 100% of their income selling on Amazon. Josh Gibson says his Seattle-based CTG Inc. sales plummeted after removing his Apple stock from the site. We peeled out because we weren't going to compete against Amazon. The house always wins, he said. U.S. lawmakers are looking at Amazon's efforts to boost its advertising sales, a business that accounted for roughly $3 billion in revenue in the second quarter of 2019. $3 billion in revenue just in the second quarter of this year. At a House hearing in July, Representative Val Demings of Florida said because businesses are increasingly dependent on Amazon, which is true, the bigger they get, the more dependent small businesses are going to be on them, small businesses that sell online. Because businesses are increasingly dependent on Amazon, some of them are concerned that Amazon is using its ad business to squeeze more money. Which they are. Amazon lawyer Nate Sutton replied that advertising isn't necessary to succeed on Amazon. Yes, but Amazon promotes it and they send their sellers email all the time about it. Jason Boyce, a one-time merchant on Amazon who is now a consultant to those third-party sellers, disagrees. If you don't advertise, you lose organic sales. Boyce said of transactions not driven by ads. That's because Amazon directs shoppers to products that sell well, in turn hampering items without ad dollars behind them. That's absolutely true. You can have the greatest widget on Amazon. And this widget that is not as good, not as pretty, and doesn't work as well, and isn't as fancy as your widget, will sell 10 times more because they advertise. Screw your widget. His outdoor company, Dazati, sold an air hockey table that won hundreds of positive reviews and consistently landed in the top 3 search results. Free. A few years ago, after Amazon introduced sponsored ads, his hockey table dropped in results. He decided to pay $5,000 to $10,000 a month for advertising to recover top placement. When he left last year, it was spending nearly $400,000 annually. $400,000 annually. Almost $500,000. About 2% of its total sales on all its Amazon advertising, just to make sure its product pages were among the leading results. Because if you don't pay, you don't play, says Amazon. They don't say that, I say that. It was freaking painful, he said. The vast majority of sellers have built and run their businesses without advertising on Amazon. Amazon says. Lawmakers have also pointed in hearings to Amazon's ever-increasing fees as potential evidence of a monopoly. Recently, a hacker hijacked Sanjay Can't pronounce that name. Amazon listings for a kid's walkie-talkie and recategorized it under sex toys. Oh! A tactic employed by rogue sellers as a weapon to ensure a product drops out of competition. The chief executive officer spends $5,000 a month for a service called Amazon's Marketplace Growth, where he has an account manager who fixed the problem within 48 hours. You have an account manager, but they still can't fix it automatically. Still, not even within a day. Not a day and a half. 48 hours. Despite Shandiram's 7-year record selling on Amazon, as well as being a top 150 seller, he said it can be nearly impossible to get help from Amazon's mostly automated systems without the service, which is true. So he pays up. He now also has to spend millions of dollars advertising on the site. So you got to pay the commission, you have to follow all the rules, you have to pay $5,000 at least for an account manager, you have to pay $400,000 in ads. They can only fix problems within 48 hours. But yeah, how you run your business is up to you, says Amazon. Peterson, the hacked seller of memorabilia and collectible supplies. Okay, if you're not willing to play, they say the results can be devastating. The memorabilia and collectible supply dealer said it took 3.5 weeks before he was able to access his account. This is normal. If your account gets suspended, it will take you weeks usually to get it back. I got one back in, I think, 8 hours once. I sent an email in and had a response, and my account was back in 8 hours. That's record. That's a record. Usually, it could take a week before you even hear back from Amazon when you send an appeal. He says it took 3.5 weeks before he was able to access his account. But the damage was done. Amazon froze the payments for the 4,000 orders, and he has since refunded them. They have since refunded them to customers. Shoppers trashed his store in reviews as untrustworthy and a scam. Negative comments are key factors in Amazon's search algorithms and have tanked sales. After the Washington Post asked about this, Amazon removed the comments, but only after. Before the hack, Perfect Sports generated about $5,000 a day in sales on Amazon, which accounted for about 75% of the company's total revenue. He estimates he lost about $225,000 in sales during the 45 days his business was paralyzed, forcing him to lay off 3 employees. Amazon's Evans says the company handled more than 40 million contacts from sellers last year, and that 80% of their issues were resolved within 24 hours. He declined to comment on individual sellers' experiences. Yeah. Unless you're calling for a very simple fix from Amazon, which most people, their fixes are simple. They have a simple question, they need help with something, they don't know how to do something. Amazon customer service gives them directions on how to do it, they do it. That doesn't mean that 80% of their issues that sellers have were resolved within 24 hours. It means that 80% of questions were resolved within 24 hours. Over the past few years, Amazon has drawn on copious sales data from its products, from products on its site to help determine markets to target with its own homegrown products. So they see what we sell, they see what third-party sellers are selling, and then they say, let's private label those pencils. Amazon Basics. And then we can put ours out there, make them cheaper. We'll get those sales. The company's private label goods include everything from batteries to vitamin supplements and diapers to nicotine gum. The company has recently been pitching those items next to the box on product pages where customers add items to their carts. Unfair marketplace practices. Last month, the House Judiciary Committee asked Amazon to provide extensive records related to how it prices and displays its products alongside those sold by rival sellers. Miami-based seller Brandon Young sells a hanging toiletry bag that was doing well before Amazon introduced its own version last year. Amazon also added a new row of items high up on the page under the heading Top Rated from Our Brands. Unfair. Young's bag dropped from the top 2 rows to below the first screen of the results, and sales were halved, cut in half, overnight to $70 a day. To salvage sales, he cut the price of the bag by $4 to $10.99. The Amazon Basics version sells for $12.22. There's definitely an unfair advantage that they have for their brands that they don't offer other sellers. Yes. What do you think? Comment below. Come to the Facebook group. Let's discuss it. Like other retailers, the company studies overall sales to make decisions, Amazon Evans said. Amazon does not give itself preferential or exclusive placement in the product search rankings, he added. Wait a minute. So the guy from Amazon says Amazon does not give itself preferential or exclusive placement in the product search rankings. He added, calling the top-rated row of items merchandising. They don't give themselves preferential treatment. They just do merchandising that none of us are allowed to do. Regulators may be harder to convince. Amazon's clout is such that a fee increase of, say, 5% wouldn't lead to a mass migration to eBay or another rival marketplace. That is key because judges tend to define a company as dominating a market if its customers would absorb a non-cost justified price increase rather than moving to a rival. He believes Amazon's reach would lead sellers to pass on those costs or eat them. So you'd pass them on to your customers or you'd eat them. The whole industry is locked into Amazon's dominance. So, what are your thoughts? I think I've made mine pretty well known as I've been reading this article, but what are your thoughts? Leave your comments below. Happy to discuss them. I want to know what you think. And I'm going to post in the Poochie's Pack Facebook group about this, and we'll discuss it there as well. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video if you did. If you didn't like the video, then dislike it. But in the comments, tell me why you didn't like the video, and I'll see what I can do about making the videos better in the future. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And again, let's discuss this. It's really, really big news for everyone who sells online, especially Amazon. The bigger Amazon gets, okay? The more power Amazon gets, the more they're going to be able to affect all of our likelihood. So, comment below and let's talk about it.